When you have baseball questions, you go to a baseball expert.
Yeah?
That's why our next guest is on the air. Mike Ferrin. What's up, buddy?
All right.
I thought you said you wanted to talk to a baseball expert. I was
Yes.
around to see who you wanted to talk to.
That's why you're here, my friend. That's why
How
you're
are you
here.
guys?
How you doing, buddy?
Hi.
I'm good. What's on your mind?
Give me anything on A-Rod. Give me an A-Rod situation. What's going on? Is he going to beat this? Is he not going to beat this? Will he ever play for the Yankees again? Will he ever play baseball again? What's going on?
I have no idea. I mean,
Thank you, Mike.
I literally don't know. I mean, for one point, I've only been following this latest portion of the saga peripherally, just because I'm watching the playoffs because I love playoff baseball. But the other part is, you just don't know how. I mean, one, none of us are in the room, and no reporters are in the room, so all you're getting are leaked sources and whatever on what's happening in this arbitration hearing. And really, you can't judge what the arbiter's going to say until he puts all the facts together in the way he interprets it. I mean, he's got three courses of action. He could throw out the suspension, he could enforce it, or he could create a reduced suspension. My guess is that because he's an arbiter and there's some level of compromise, that it will probably be somewhere in the middle, that it won't be 211 games, but it won't be nothing either. But again, I don't know what all the evidence is that's being presented, and we won't really know until November. But I love the grandstanding. I mean, that part is really great. I mean, him going back with the supporters that he may or may not have paid outside the MLB headquarters and like standing with them for 25 minutes. I mean, that's pretty good. A-Rod's going to pay you and you get to spend time with them. That's awesome.
Very nice.
Well, the thing that's troubling is it seems like historically when guys use the excuse that he's using, maybe I used the PEDs without realizing it, that defense seems to have worked behind closed doors with arbitration in the past. Is there any? Do you have any knowledge on that? I mean, is that the general consensus that his defense may, in fact, hold up because this is privately being done?
Well, his defense went out of the way to say yesterday that they weren't using that defense. They said, no, that's not. What you've heard isn't true.
Oh.
I think that they've said that he's never used anything, or at least that's what they're saying publicly. Now, again, who knows what they're saying behind closed doors? I mean, I think if you have, I think it depends a lot on the evidence that you have. If you have, say, a doping test, which is the case, in a lot of respects if you're dealing with something international. And again, I'm not an expert on the international doping. I just play one on a talk show. So I've studied it a little bit, but I've never been in the room for it, and I've never really gone through the process. But my understanding is, you've got these A and B samples, and you bring that, and somebody can say, hey, listen, I didn't know what I was taking. And they can bring somebody to support their testimony, and then, okay, well, then maybe an arbiter can see a way to overturn it. But from what I understand, that there are volumes and volumes of evidence that Major League Baseball has that at least, at the very least, links him to Tony Bosch in much more than a casual relationship where Bosch would have been saying, hey, take this supplement, and Alex Rodriguez wouldn't have known what he was putting in his body. So unless the arbiter is going to be duped by some of this, I find it hard to believe that that's what they're going to end up winning an appeal on. My guess is that it's probably going to be grounds something closer to the fact that the suspension that was levied upon him was not in the collective bargaining agreement and was not collectively bargained, and so it should be null and void because this should be viewed as a first-time offense.
All right. Well, welcome to the circus. Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to watch and see. I think it'll be suspension less than 211. I think we'll see him maybe in 2015, but not a welcome situation. And I don't know. The Yankees, I think, are going into a few years at least of what people don't expect Yankee baseball to be. I think they're not going to be in the postseason maybe for a while, and this A-Rod thing's going to be hanging over their heads. It's disgusting. But we'll see what happens. Are the Dodgers for real, man? I think the Dodgers go to the World Series, right?
I actually picked against them in this round, and then Kershaw went out and picked
Thank you, Mike.
Kershaw tonight. I mean, he actually, he wasn't very good the first 3 or 4 innings, and then I think he fanned something like 9 of the last 11 guys that he faced.
Jeez.
I mean, they're a good team. The injuries to their outfield really bother me. I mean, Kemp, they've played most of the season without him, so you can say, well, listen, they've been a good team without Matt Kemp. Obviously, makes them better if he's healthy. But the Ethier injury is one that really concerns me because he's been so good, and he had been playing center field. And, he can't really run right now. Pitch hit tonight, which I guess is a good sign. But you can't really play him at the corner because then you have to move Puig to center, and Puig's not really a center fielder, despite his athleticism.
Puig.
So there's still a couple of concerns there. But Puig's an incredible talent between Puig and Hanley and, Alex and Gonzalez homered tonight. That's still a really formidable middle of the lineup.
Do you feel dirty when you say the name Puig? I do. For some reason, when you say Puig, it sounds very pornographic, very like Puig.
Like slang.
I feel like I'm going someplace to buy Puig.
Like one of buy or
in a back alley somewhere. Yeah.
Or hey, honey, give me some Puig.
Yeah. Right.
I want to get some Puig off this hooker.
Hey, Mike, the Cardinals shellacked the Pirates.
That's another one, shellacked.
9-1.
I like to shellac some Puig on myself.
Yeah. How do the Cardinals do this every year?
Well, they develop really good talent more than anything. I mean, their organization, does a really good job of not just drafting guys, but then developing them, and giving them the coaching and finding guys that have the work ethic to become really good players. And then they augment them. Matt Holliday obviously came from outside the organization. Carlos Beltran, who tied Babe Ruth on the all-time postseason home run list tonight.
Yeah.
Beltran obviously has been a very, very good player for them. And they've made shrewd trades with young players too. Remember, they got Adam Wainwright for J.D. Drew, and that's almost a decade ago now that they acquired Wainwright. And really, the story today was, as much him as it was the offense getting to A.J. Burnett. They're just, they've always been really good at it. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and we were talking about, the last time the Cardinals were bad was, 1973 to
I know, they're always good. They're always good.
I mean,
they put quality on the field.
They've been more consistent than the Yankees have been.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's amazing.
Shetty, real quick, just say this for me. I want to pay this hooker and get my Puig shellacked.
I want to pay this hooker and get my Puig shellacked.
Just say it real quick. I want to get my Puig shellacked.
I want to get my Puig shellacked.
Nice. Very nice. That's got to turn you on. I want to get my Puig shellacked.
Titillating.
Are the Yankees going to lose Girardi, and if so, is it to the Cubs?
If they do lose him, they'll lose him to the Cubs, but I don't think that they're going to lose him.
Really?
I think you
think they'll just overpay to keep him?
I don't know that it's going to be overpay. Is Joe Girardi one of the better managers in the game?
Yeah.
After this season, I would say,
arguably the best.
Did an amazing job.
I'd Puig his shellacked.
Yeah, so
I would shellac his Puig.
They're gonna have to shellac his Puig a little bit.
They're gonna have to, because there's gonna be some Puig shellacking in the Bronx.
So is it gonna be? He's making $3 million a year now. Like Dusty Baker by comparison, Cincinnati's making $3.5 million. So Girardi's worth $4.5 million. Well, certainly the Yankees are willing to pay that. That's the thing, is that if as much as the Yankees have put that focus on trying to get the payroll number under the luxury tax threshold, because it resets a whole bunch of stuff when it comes to what they pay into, all sorts of revenue sharing, and it's and not even directly related to the luxury tax. But the thing is that the manager's salary falls outside of that, and they could pay him $5 million a year, or they could pay him $50 million a year, and it wouldn't really matter in that regard. The Yankees print money anyway. So, I really don't think – I understand what you were saying, Artie, earlier about being concerned about the Yankees over the next couple of years, not making the playoffs and all that. And I just don't know that I buy it. I bet against them this year. They were in competition for way longer than I thought that they were going to be. I think they have a pretty smart front office. I think they're going to find ways to try and get younger, cheaper, and better. And, quite honestly, what's a better job, being manager of the Yankees or being manager of the Cubs? They're both good gigs, but, the Cubs, the Yankees at least have certainty at the major league level. You still have star quality players, even if that star is, Teixeira and, re-signing Cano and Pineda and Sabathia in the future, the pitching staff, whatever it is. You know, that they still have that. The Cubs, you're still selling hope. You know, I mean, none of their talented guys are really at the big league level yet, save for the first baseman and their shortstop. And there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong between now and the time that they actually come to the big leagues that may not let them ever, you know, reach that potential. So I think it's a difficult spot to be in, to leave for that job, unless you really just want to be home. And I don't know, you know, the way he downplayed it at the end of the season, I'm not sure that that's the case. I think it's a really good leverage play on his part.
Interesting.
What about Dusty Baker? You mentioned him making $3.5 million, but people in Cincinnati were a little unhappy with him this year. Do you think he may be gone?
Oh, you think? The Dusty Baker hatred is one of my. It cracks me up. Because you would think that this guy was one of the losingest managers in baseball history that, like, had pictures of somebody and kept getting jobs, right?
Yeah.
1,600 career wins. You know, he's been to the postseason, I think it's now 7 times. 3 times in 4 years he's taken the Reds to the playoffs. Now, the Reds hadn't had, you know, a postseason berth since 1990. Before Dusty took him there 4 years ago. You know, is he a great strategist? No, he's not. Does he bunt too much in bad spots? Yes, he absolutely does. But what he does to get his team ready to play, for the most part, and I think Reds fans would probably argue the way the last week of the season went that it didn't seem like it, but he really, you know, is the kind of manager that puts his guys in the best position to succeed, at least mentally. And he catches a lot of flack for it. So I mean, I think Dusty's a little bit underrated. He's not a good, you know, the stuff that we can quantify. What happens between the white lines? I don't think that that's his strength. But I think the rest of the day, I think he's one of the best, if not the best, in the game. And the other problem for the Reds is, like, if they did really feel like he had lost the clubhouse and they needed to make a move, he's owed $3.5 million, and that's not an insignificant chunk of change for the Reds. Bob Castellini owns the team, has a ton of money, and they have a huge contract extension that kicks in next season with Joey Votto. And I'm not sure that he wants to pay 2 managers. You know, we're talking about Joe Girardi getting $4 or $5 million. Do you want to pay $5.5 million for your manager spot next year when one of them isn't even working? You know, where you're paying 2 guys for that. So I think Dusty definitely keeps his job, and I think, you know, it'll be interesting. He's performed well in free agent years before, and he doesn't mind going into the last season of a contract without or last season of a year deal without an extension. He's supremely confident, and I think that shows up too.
All right,
Ferrin, you're a good man. We appreciate you coming on the show always for this insight, and please, throughout October, come back several more times.
Anytime you guys need me, just give me a ring. I'll just be sitting around shellacking my Puig.
Shellac the Puig. Hashtag shellac the Puig. Thanks so much, Mike.
Later, guys.
All right, Mike.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.